Hi, today I have the pleasure of talking to Michael Fowl from Delaware in the US. And Michael was a participant in our pilot ICF Credential course. And so I've asked him today to come along and share with you what his experience has been like. So let's start with this, Michael. Thank you for coming along.
Yeah,
And what was your experience of it? If someone asked you, so how was it? What would you say?
I would say that the what the course did was it really helped me to expand my understanding of what I was looking for was the MCC kind of competency level, and you, Carol, did a great job really helping everybody, no matter what credential they're looking for, to understand that well. And to really break it down, I felt like it was a little mystifying sometimes by the ICF. What are they looking for? What exactly is that like? But I think both of you did a great job at sort of just making it clear as to what's being listened for and what's expected.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean there isn't work to actually start coaching in that way, but I think it did help a lot. And that's probably my biggest thing of what I got from it.
Okay, great. Certainly that's good to hear from my perspective and Carol's, because that's what we were aiming for, to demystify a little bit of the assessment process. And Michael and I share the challenges of securing our MCC, even though we've been coaching for a number of years. So I got to share with him a little bit of what I went through to help him get through this next step. When you think about mentoring and then this course, what made it unusual or unique? Like, why would someone do this instead of just going for mentoring?
I think with the course, and I do a fair amount of mentor coaching myself, but I think what the course allowed us to do was to work as a group, to interact with the content, to bring different ideas out onto the table, to hear and experiment with ways of coaching and the languaging that we might use, and to get that immediate feedback, of course, which you is really helpful from everyone, and getting that input and the ideas. So I think having it is in the way of a course is real helpful that way. And of course, the other thing, and it depends, I suppose, on what a mentor might be doing, but the resources, the books, the other things that typically aren't always a part of a mentor coaching relationship, were certainly helpful to fill in a lot of the gaps and really give a greater depth of understanding.
Yeah, and that, I found that really helpful when I started to research, what it is that makes it an MCC coach or moves you from ACC to PCC, and what were the distinctions. I'm glad to hear you found it very practical and the resources were helpful. Again, great to hear. Okay, so you're now ready to apply for your MCC. We had part of the course to review your recordings. So how has that been? I know we started with one recording and we did a few. What is the advantage of having two MCCs looking at your recordings?
Well, it's really helpful because you can sort of know what to expect with that recording. So the outcome's probably going to be similar to what you might get from the ICF. As you said, you never can quite tell. All of the different evaluators can be a little different. But it also gives you that very specific, and I think more detail than what the ICF will give you. I think there's limited amount of time and ability to give you some of the more detailed information and nuancing and just ways to approach things, and not just talking about, hey, this could have looked different or this this was a missed opportunity, but also saying, how could that have been better? How, what, okay, it was missed. Now what does that mean? How would I have done it differently? Or what are some ideas? So I think, as well as the affirmations, hey, this is what you're doing well. So it's not all just pointing out the areas for growth, but it's also pointing out what you're doing well. Stay consistent with that.
Great. So as a coach, what was your biggest takeaway? Like, what technique, approach has changed the way you coach?
I really think it's the area that you said I agree with is probably the biggest challenge. It was just getting the agreement at the beginning and just doing that in a very clear way, trying to really listen for the person's words and not nuance them in a new way or go off in another direction, and just to try to help the person. I had a call just before this call, and I used that and asked one of the questions as far as how the agreement looks, and it made a big difference for the person. And they, at the end of the call, they said, this has been great. So I would say it's the agreement and how to get that has probably been the biggest help.
Yeah. And you mentioned too, like getting to the person, what is making it a problem for this person, and the strategy kind of comes later. And the agreement is definitely, something we as coaches, I don't care what level you are, we always have questions about it. It seems it's a process you never completely master, but you certainly know when it's gone better than others. So, well, thank you for your time today, Michael. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
I'm
glad to do it.
Yeah, and all the luck with getting your recordings accepted by the ICF.
Thank you. Thank you, Mercy.
All right.